Okay. Huh. I see you're, settling in.
Yeah, is that okay?
Sure. I guess. I always liked this room. Sophie had, like, paintings and shit on the walls. Lots of color. And Minerva. She was really musical. Not like Louis, though. She had actual talent. She had the most amazing voice. Real bluesy. Marlon always joked that he would scavenge a guitar and the two of them would tour the country.
What exactly happened to them? Sophie and Minerva.
They went scavenging with Marlon and Brody out past the safe zone. Didn't make it back. It happens. Afterwards, Brody and Tenn took down all the paintings, and that was the end of it. I shouldn't have even brought it up. It's not a good memory.
Sophie and Minerva, a great topic that requires a great discussion. What is up, you lot? My name is Asaf. Welcome back, guys, to a brand new video talking about the fate of Sophie and Minerva and what happened to Sophie and Minerva. So if you don't quite remember, Sophie and Minerva are the older sisters of Tennessee, aka Tenn. Now, Sophie, Minerva, Brody and Marlon went outside the safe zone, and eventually they came into contact with the raiders. Marlon decided to give away Sophie and Minerva in exchange for safety and survival, which wasn't the best idea, but it wasn't also the worst idea, because fact is, and the most likely thing that would have happened if they didn't give away Sophie and Minerva, we wouldn't have met Marlon, we wouldn't have met Louis, we wouldn't have met any of these characters. So the real question is, I'm going to start off saying what I think, why did they give them away? What happened to Sophie and Minerva? And then I'll give you my personal intake on why or who is alive, in my opinion. So what happened to Sophie and Minerva with the raiders? So the raiders took Sophie and Minerva from Marlon after Marlon willingly gave Sophie and Minerva away. In my opinion, what I think happened is that they were being used as sex slaves, which is a bit crazy. It's a bit of a dark turn, but what would a bunch of, alpha males do in a lawless environment? It's a zombie apocalypse. There are no laws, there's no functioning government or any sort of morals to actually adhere to the public, right? So what would a bunch of males do with teenage girls in a zombie apocalypse? Probably rape, right? It's the harsh truth. If there's more bad people out there in the zombie apocalypse than good people, and when there is no laws and no repercussions, you can guess that people are going to be much more ruthless and just brutal in general in terms of their decision making. So in my opinion, I think if Telltale decided to go for a dark twist or a dark plot point, in my opinion, that is the best way they would actually forward the plot, because then it would create whoever is alive, whether it be Sophie and Minerva, to be a more 3D character. You're such a 3D character with that's hard to read, and especially we'll get the whole idea of Violet and everyone else telling us how Sophie and Minerva was before, of course, they were taken away by the raiders, and then of course we get contrasted about what the current behavior is. So getting that contrast in the before and after behavior would be such a great way to actually develop Sophie and Minerva's character. Considering we haven't seen them, we seem to know a lot about them. Violet and Minerva were in a relationship, and Sophie and Violet were great friends. So obviously we have that sincere connection because of Violet and Clementine actually have a good relationship. So that's what I personally think in terms of what happened to them. I think some sort of sex rape happened, in my opinion. A lot of people have decided to actually bring up the fact that the raiders could have been cannibals and kind of invested in the idea of cannibalism. I don't think that's particularly true, not because it can't happen, of course it can happen, but in terms of a plot, in terms of a story, we need to look at the bigger picture. Telltale are producing their final story for the Walking Dead game, right? It's not really a smart way to actually do a plot rehash. We've already had the cannibalism idea in season 1 episode 2, and I don't think Telltale in the final season will be rehashing an old story plot point that they've already done in season 1, right? A lot of people would criticize that, saying they've run out of ideas, when really this is the final season. We don't want Telltale wants as least of a criticism as they they possibly can and as much praise as they possibly can. So I don't think, although cannibalism doesn't sound like a bad idea, I don't think that's going to be the reason why Sophie and Minerva were taken away. Not to mention that Marlon is the oldest, and Marlon, as we can see on the screen, he's the most beefiest out of the bunch. You know, he's kind of got an athletic body type, you know, he's probably got the most meat. So realistically, if there were cannibals and they wanted to kind of maximize on their food, they would probably take Marlon and not Sophie and Minerva. Furthermore, backing up my point that we can be seeing some sort of sex slave rape, sexual abuse. Sophie and Minerva, who is alive and who is dead? Sophie and Minerva, one person has to die so we can actually develop one of the other characters more, in my opinion. I think we've got a lot of characters right now, and I think it's just time to even develop furthermore into them. Of course, we've got the primary cast, which is like Marlon, or it was Marlon. We got like Lewis, we got Violet, etc. Tenn, AJ, and then we obviously got the secondary cast like Sim, Mitch, Omar, etc. I think if we have, like, for example, Sophie, who I think is probably the most likely to be alive, actually survive, we can actually talk about Minerva and what happened to her, and then actually Sophie can give her input, and then of course that's character development right there, naturally giving us character development. To be honest, a lot of people would be happy that Minerva's dead. Why? Because there's more people that actually ship Clementine and Violet more than they ship Lewis and Clementine. Telltale sees that, and of course they prefer, or they actually, if they want to continue the whole romance shipping idea, they'd probably have Clementine get with Violet, or of course Clementine get with Lewis, right? So that would mean Minerva has to go, so then the Violet and Clementine shipping romance thing can happen. Because if Minerva's alive, then we'll get a love triangle, which in season 3 wasn't really the best idea. I can see that Telltale tried, but it wasn't the best idea in a love triangle with. However, in season 4 we've already got much more interesting characters, so in my opinion they could give another try. I do think it would be a more advanced and better plot if Clementine does rescue Sophie and Minerva, and Sophie and Minerva are still alive, because that means, you know, it would be a much more advanced plot. You can either have the idea of Clementine actually approaching Violet and telling her, yo, I like you, or, you know, I'm gonna back off now because Minerva's alive. Of course, that's if you're actually attempting to have a Violet and Clementine kind of relationship. If you're Team Lewis and Tenn like me, this doesn't really affect you, but of course we got the whole, you know, concept of more drama basically if Minerva's alive. Or we can have Minerva be alive and Sophie be dead, which again would actually make the storyline more interesting, but then again it would kind of like cut off all hope for a Violet and Clementine relationship. So in my opinion, I think Sophie's alive and Minerva's dead. Why? Because of all the things I've just mentioned. And the second thing that I do want to say is because if we at least have one of the sisters die, then it could be a much more interesting plot. Maybe we can try to seek a revenge, vengeance, justice, depending on what the situation and the context is. Perhaps one of the sisters tried to actually be a hero and escape with the other sister, and then she got caught and, you know, she died right in front of her other twin sister. So in my opinion, I think Sophie's alive and Minerva's dead. I also think that, you know, they were being used as sex slaves and they were against their consent. But of course there's a lot of, you know, people saying things otherwise. That's the most approved theory, and I actually approve as well. Of course, tell me what you guys think about it. Just because this is the most approved theory doesn't mean I don't want to hear what you guys have to say. Of course, tell me who you guys think survived, who do you think is dead, what do you think happened to Sophie and Minerva, or do you think both of them are dead? Because Telltale, I can see them actually killing both of them off and having this whole rescue thing just be another devastating low point in the storyline. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy today's video, obviously the support you guys have been showing is amazing, so I don't want to ask you for that many likes, but if you could just like the video, it'd be great. Subscribe if you're new and you haven't checked out my channel before, and comment, tell me what you guys think happened to Sophie and Minerva, what the Raiders did to Sophie and Minerva, and do you think Sophie and Minerva are alive? Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and in a bit.